Justice has finally been served. One of Coronation Street's most disturbing villains has fallen. But just when viewers thought this nightmare was finally over, a surprising emotional reaction swept across the fan base. Because despite everything Megan Walsh did, thousands of viewers are now saying exactly the same thing. And what Beth Nixon revealed after her dramatic exit has left many wondering whether this really is the end. Before we dive into today's explosive breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to Coronation Street Update for all the latest spoilers, theories and breaking news from Weatherfield. Now let's uncover why Megan's final chapter has become one of the most talked about moments of the year. For months, Megan Walsh wasn't simply another soap villain. She became the center of one of Coronation Street's darkest and most emotionally devastating storylines in recent memory. Behind her confident smile was a master manipulator. Someone capable of earning trust, twisting emotions, and exploiting the vulnerability of a teenage boy who never deserved any of what followed. Every decision Megan made seemed carefully calculated. Every lie pushed Will Driscoll further into isolation. Every manipulation tightened her control. Viewers weren't just watching a crime unfold. They were watching emotional abuse happen in slow motion. And that made the story all the more chilling. But that's only the beginning. Because while audiences desperately wanted justice, there was always one terrifying question hanging over Weatherfield. Would Megan actually get away with it? Soap fans know all too well that villains don't always pay the price. Evidence disappears. Witnesses lose confidence. Secrets emerge. Cases collapse. So even as the investigation gathered momentum, uncertainty never truly disappeared. Every episode carried fresh anxiety. Could Will find the courage to speak? Would the truth finally be believed? Or would Megan manipulate everyone one last time? That uncertainty became one of the biggest reasons viewers kept coming back. The tension wasn't simply about the verdict. It was about whether healing was even possible after so much emotional damage. And that's where the real emotional weight of this storyline began to reveal itself. Because Will wasn't simply trying to win a court case. He was trying to reclaim his life. Victims of manipulation often carry invisible scars long after the abuse ends. Trust becomes difficult. Confidence disappears. Every memory becomes painful. Every relationship feels uncertain. Coronation Street didn't shy away from showing those emotional consequences. Instead, it allowed viewers to witness the lasting psychological impact of grooming. And that's exactly why the storyline resonated with so many people. It wasn't sensational. It felt painfully real. Then came the moment fans had been waiting for. The courtroom. The silence. The anticipation. One decision. One verdict. One life-changing outcome. After months of lies, deception and manipulation, Megan Walsh was finally found guilty of grooming teenager Will Driscoll. Justice had finally arrived. The sentence followed quickly. 5 years behind bars. For many viewers, it wasn't simply the end of a storyline. It was relief. A release of months of tension. An emotional payoff that felt genuinely earned. Social media exploded almost immediately. Fans celebrated the verdict. But something unexpected happened alongside those celebrations. Instead of focusing entirely on Megan's downfall, conversation suddenly shifted towards the woman who brought her to life. Beth Nixon. And the praise was overwhelming. That's what makes this reaction so fascinating. Normally, when audiences despise a villain, they simply celebrate seeing them leave. This time was different. Viewers made a clear distinction between the character they hated and the actress they admired. One after another, comments flooded social media. Many described Beth Nixon as phenomenal. Others called her sensational. Some even labeled Megan one of the vilest characters ever to walk the cobbles. Yet every compliment aimed at the character's cruelty became another compliment towards Nixon's performance. Because creating a villain audiences genuinely fear isn't easy. It requires subtlety, control, emotional intelligence, and the confidence to portray someone whose actions make viewers deeply uncomfortable. Beth Nixon achieved exactly that. She never played Megan like a cartoon villain. Instead, she portrayed manipulation in a way that felt frighteningly believable. That realism is precisely what made Megan so unsettling. She didn't rely on shouting. She relied on emotional control, calculated conversations, quiet manipulation, moments that left viewers questioning whether Will could ever escape. And because of that, every confrontation carried enormous emotional weight. But one detail changes everything. Despite Meghan finally receiving the punishment many believed she deserved, fans admitted they would actually miss seeing Beth Nixon on Coronation Street. It's a remarkable contradiction. People couldn't wait to see Meghan imprisoned. Yet they were genuinely sad to see the actress leave. That's perhaps the greatest compliment any performer can receive. When viewers separate the person from the performance. When hatred for the character becomes admiration for the acting. Very few soap villains manage to leave that kind of legacy. Meghan has. And Beth Nixon certainly has. However, another surprise was still to come. Following her dramatic departure, Beth herself reflected on the storyline. Her comments revealed just how emotionally significant the experience had been. She explained that everyone always knew Meghan would eventually face justice. That outcome mattered. Not simply because audiences wanted revenge, but because the storyline carried an important message. If someone is experiencing abuse, justice is possible. Speaking openly after her exit, Beth emphasized how important it was to show that victims can be believed, that perpetrators can face consequences, and that hope still exists, even after manipulation and fear. It's a powerful reminder that Coronation Street wasn't simply telling another dramatic story. It was highlighting a real issue affecting real people. Perhaps that's why the ending felt so satisfying. Justice wasn't guaranteed. It had to be fought for. And viewers witnessed every painful step along the way. But even then, Beth's biggest revelation was still to come. Asked whether Meghan's story was truly over, she didn't close the door. In fact, she admitted she would love the opportunity to return. Immediately, speculation began. Could Meghan ever come back? Would a prison release years down the line reopen old wounds? Could she seek revenge? Would Will be forced to confront his past once again? Or could a future return explore whether someone like Meghan is truly capable of change? Right now there are no answers. Only possibilities. And Coronation Street has a long history of bringing back unforgettable characters when viewers least expect it. That uncertainty has only fueled fan theories. Because while Meghan may be behind bars, soap history tells us prison doesn't always mean goodbye forever. Sometimes, it's only an intermission. There's another emotional detail that shouldn't be overlooked either. Beth admitted she cried on her final day filming. After months immersed in such an emotionally demanding storyline, saying goodbye wasn't easy. She described Coronation Street as a wonderful place to work. A place where she felt incredibly fortunate to have been trusted with such an important role. That honesty resonated with fans. It reminded everyone that behind every villain is an actor investing enormous emotional energy into telling difficult stories responsibly. Playing someone like Meghan isn't glamorous. It's emotionally exhausting. It requires stepping into the mindset of someone audiences are meant to fear and reject. Doing that convincingly while respecting the seriousness of the subject is an enormous challenge. And judging by the audience reaction, Beth Nixon succeeded beyond expectations. Meanwhile, viewers have also reserved praise for Lucas Hodgson Wale, whose portrayal of Will formed the emotional heart of the storyline. Without a believable victim, there can be no believable villain. Their performances complemented one another throughout. Together they created scenes filled with fear, vulnerability, and emotional complexity. Those moments didn't simply entertain. They encouraged discussion. They raised awareness. They reminded audiences why Coronation Street continues tackling difficult issues through character-driven storytelling. But perhaps the biggest question now isn't about Meghan. It's about everyone she leaves behind. Will can finally begin rebuilding his confidence. But healing is never instant. Trauma doesn't disappear because a judge delivers a sentence. The memories remain. The emotional scars remain. Trust takes time to rebuild. And Coronation Street has already shown that recovery is often just as complicated as the original trauma. That may become the next important chapter. Watching survivors move forward. Finding strength. Learning to trust again. And refusing to let the past define them. As for Meghan, her story may have reached its conclusion for now. But perhaps, only this chapter has ended. Because if Coronation Street has taught viewers anything over the decades, it's that the past has a habit of returning when people least expect it. One unexpected phone call. One prison release. One hidden secret. And everything can change again. For now, justice has finally been delivered. A dangerous manipulator has fallen. A brave survivor has finally been heard. And an unforgettable performance has earned admiration from viewers across the country. But if one thing is becoming increasingly clear, Beth Nixon may have left Weatherfield. Yet Megan Walsh's shadow could continue haunting the cobbles for years to come. And if the opportunity to return ever arrives, will Megan come back seeking redemption or revenge? Because in Coronation Street, the biggest twists are often the ones nobody sees coming.